Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
In the aftermath of the Korean War, a young couple and a wayward brother find themselves entangled in a web of secrets, desires, and hidden identities. On Swift Horses takes us on a journey through 1950s America, where social constraints force people to live double lives while searching for authentic connection in a world that demands conformity. Through gambling dens, racetracks, and quiet suburban homes, the characters navigate their way toward what they truly want, even when society tells them they shouldn't. The complete story of On Swift Horses. The story begins with a song, Mr. Blue, setting a melancholic tone as we meet our three central characters. Muriel and her husband Lee are starting fresh in California after Lee's return from the Korean War. Lee's younger brother Julius, also a veteran, has joined them. During Christmas celebrations, amidst happiness and drinks, Lee proposes that the three of them build a life together in San Diego, California. Julius seems hesitant but agrees, and Lee makes Julius promise to join them. The brothers share a deep bond. During their military service, Julius had saved Lee's life in Korea by climbing onto a burning truck to throw ammunition down to trapped soldiers. Lee carries immense gratitude and love for his brother, seeing him as a hero despite Julius's modest dismissal of his actions. When Lee proposes a new start in California, Muriel accepts Julius as part of their new life, though she seems to sense something different about him. However, plans quickly change. Julius, instead of joining them in San Diego, sends Muriel a telegram saying he's pursuing unexpected opportunities in Las Vegas. He sets off to make his fortune in the gambling world, breaking his promise to his brother. Julius finds work as a security observer at a casino, where his job is to watch for cheaters from behind two-way mirrors. He's good at this because, as he admits, he knows how people steal, because I've stolen in the past. In Las Vegas, Julius meets Henry, a fellow casino employee with a distinctive scar. Their connection is immediate and electric. Henry introduces Julius to tricks of their trade, showing him how the casino uses marked cards to ensure they always win. As their relationship develops, Julius and Henry dream of hitting it big through gambling and possibly escaping to Mexico together. Meanwhile, back in San Diego, Muriel and Lee buy a small house in a developing suburb. Lee works hard, and Muriel takes a job at a cafe. But Muriel harbors her own secrets. She begins visiting the racetrack, developing an uncanny talent for picking winning horses. Through her winnings, she accumulates money that she hides from Lee in a coffee can. When Lee mentions wanting to buy furniture for their new home, Muriel surprises him with $3,000 she's won gambling, money that helps them secure their suburban dream. Muriel feels disconnected from the traditional housewife role she's expected to play. She writes letters to Julius, who rarely responds. In her letters, she describes how their neighborhood is rapidly developing, with houses going up fast around them, making her feel increasingly confined. She admits to Julius that she can't picture him living there because you wouldn't be able to breathe. During this time, Muriel meets Sandra, a neighbor who plays Spanish music on a mandolin. Their relationship begins innocently with Sandra selling Muriel eggs, but soon develops into something deeper. Muriel is drawn to Sandra's independent spirit and different way of living. Through their relationship, Muriel discovers a part of herself she never knew existed. Back in Las Vegas, Julius and Henry's relationship deepens, though they must keep it secret in the homophobic 1950s society. After witnessing the brutal consequences faced by gay men who are discovered, seeing a man's photo in the newspaper after being arrested in a gay bar, Julius becomes increasingly fearful. Despite his growing feelings for Henry, Julius resists Henry's suggestion that they cheat at the casino where they work, knowing the dangerous consequences they would face if caught. The story takes a dramatic turn when Julius reluctantly joins Henry in cheating at cards. Their scheme is discovered, and they're ambushed by casino enforcers. Henry disappears, and Julius is beaten. Worried that Henry has been killed, Julius flees Las Vegas, leaving behind the gun Henry gave him. He carries guilt and grief, not knowing what happened to his lover. Julius unexpectedly returns to San Diego, showing up at Lee and Muriel's home with a horse trailer and a horse he won in a bet. His arrival disrupts their carefully constructed lives. Lee is overjoyed to see his brother, but Muriel harbors mixed feelings. She has been changed by her experiences with Sandra and gambling, feeling a kinship with Julius's rebellious spirit while resenting his abandonment. During his stay, Julius and Muriel share quiet moments where they recognize something kindred in each other. Julius tells stories about a girl from their hometown who juggled relationships with two men, one passionate but unstable, the other respectable but boring. He suggests that the girl chose the unreal life of respectability over true passion. This story serves as a mirror for Muriel's situation, caught between her conventional marriage to Lee and her passionate connection with Sandra. In a moment of vulnerability, Muriel reveals to Julius that she knows about Henry. She shows Julius the gun Henry gave him, which she somehow acquired, saying she plans to return it to Henry. Julius is shocked by her knowledge of his secret life. Muriel asks Julius for money to help her find Henry, essentially blackmailing him with the knowledge of his homosexuality. Their confrontation is heated, with Muriel calling Julius a coward and a liar. The next day, Julius leaves without saying goodbye, taking his horse with him. Muriel, determined to find Henry herself, travels to Tijuana, Mexico, where she believes he might have gone. There, she tries to navigate the dangerous gambling world, losing the money she brought. She meets a man who claims to know where Henry is but robs her instead. During her time in Tijuana, Muriel has a powerful realization about herself and her desires. She writes a letter to Sandra expressing her feelings, though it's unclear if she ever sends it. Meanwhile, Julius, after leaving San Diego, also searches for Henry. He visits a gay bar and asks about Henry, describing his distinctive scar. The film culminates with both Julius and Muriel on separate journeys of self-discovery. Julius writes a letter to Muriel on Christmas Eve, apologizing for stealing from her and getting things so wrong. He expresses hope that she's found happiness, remembering her saying, "Everybody deserves a chance to be happy." The letter suggests that Julius has found some resolution in his life, though we don't learn if he ever reunites with Henry. In the final moments, we see Muriel alone, suggesting she has chosen her own path, separate from both Lee and Sandra. The film ends with the lingering question of whether any of the characters have found what they were truly seeking, authentic love and the freedom to be themselves in a society that demanded conformity. Understanding the ending of On Swift Horses. The ending of On Swift Horses intentionally leaves many questions unanswered, reflecting the uncertain futures of its characters. Julius writes a letter to Muriel expressing remorse and offering closure, but we don't know if the letter was ever sent or received. Similarly, Muriel's journey to Tijuana ends with her alone, having lost the money she brought to find Henry. What's clear is that both Muriel and Julius have undergone profound transformations. They've broken free from conventional expectations, Muriel from the role of the dutiful housewife, and Julius from the pressure to hide his sexuality. Though they may not have found exactly what they were looking for, they both claimed the freedom to choose their own paths. The film leaves us to wonder, did Julius ever reunite with Henry? Did Muriel return to Lee, pursue Sandra, or choose independence? These ambiguities are intentional, suggesting that in the rigid social landscape of 1950s America, the journey towards self-discovery was itself a form of victory, even when complete fulfillment remained elusive. The deeper meaning, horses, gambling, and freedom. Throughout On Swift Horses, gambling serves as a powerful metaphor. For both Julius and Muriel, gambling represents a rebellion against predetermined outcomes. In a society that dictated rigid life paths, especially for women and gay men, betting on horses or cards was a way to assert control over fate, to believe in the possibility of beating the odds. Horses, too, carry symbolic weight. Swift horses represent freedom, the possibility of escape from social constraints. When Julius arrives with a horse he won in a bet, it embodies his wild, untamable nature. The horse exists outside the suburban landscape Lee and Muriel have created, just as Julius and Muriel's true selves exist outside societal expectations. The film also explores how people create secret identities to survive. Julius lives a double life in Las Vegas, working as a casino security person while engaging in a forbidden gay relationship. Muriel maintains the facade of a contented housewife while visiting racetracks and falling in love with Sandra. These secret lives allow the characters to breathe in a society that would otherwise suffocate them. The character journeys. Lee's character represents the conventional American dream of the 1950s. A war veteran who wants nothing more than a home, a wife, and eventually children, he embodies the ideals promoted in post-war America. His love for Julius and Muriel is genuine, but he fails to truly see or understand them. His dream of having his brother and wife together in their suburban home is ultimately revealed as naive, failing to recognize the complex desires and identities of those he loves. Julius struggles with his sexuality in an era when being gay was not just socially unacceptable but actively dangerous. His decision to go to Las Vegas instead of joining Lee and Muriel in San Diego is driven by a need to find a place where he might exist more freely. His relationship with Henry offers him a glimpse of authentic connection, only to have it ripped away. Julius's journey is one of accepting his identity and learning to navigate a world hostile to his existence. Muriel's transformation is perhaps the most dramatic. Beginning as a traditional wife, she discovers unexpected talents and desires. Her gambling success gives her financial independence, while her relationship with Sandra awakens her to romantic possibilities beyond her marriage. Unlike many women of her era, Muriel actively chooses her path rather than simply accepting what society prescribes for her. Her decision to search for Henry, ostensibly to return his gun, reflects her deeper quest to understand the kind of love Julius experienced, a love outside societal norms. Henry remains somewhat mysterious, known primarily through his relationship with Julius. His scar physically marks him as different, matching his willingness to live outside society's rules. He is both more daring than Julius, pushing him to cheat at the casino, and more fatalistic, understanding the precariousness of their situation as gay men in the 1950s. His disappearance drives much of the latter part of the film, though whether he was killed or simply fled remains unclear. Sandra, like Henry, offers an alternative to conventional life. Her Spanish music and independent spirit attract Muriel, showing her possibilities beyond suburban housewifery. Their relationship develops organically from neighbor interactions to deep intimacy, though it ultimately faces the same societal pressures that threaten Julius and Henry. America in the 1950s, the historical context. The film vividly depicts post-Korean War America, a time of economic prosperity and rigid social norms. The rapidly developing suburbs where Lee and Muriel live represent the standardization of the American dream, identical houses filled with identical families living identical lives. This conformity offered security but demanded the suppression of difference. For women like Muriel, options were severely limited. Expected to be content as housewives and mothers, women who desired careers, independence, or non-heterosexual relationships had to either conform or live secret lives. Muriel's gambling and relationship with Sandra are acts of rebellion against these constraints. For gay men like Julius and Henry, the situation was even more perilous. Homosexuality was criminalized, with police raids on gay establishments common. The newspaper article about a man arrested in a gay bar who later committed suicide reflects the real dangers faced by LGBTQ+ individuals. Their need for secrecy wasn't just social but a matter of survival. Gambling occupies an interesting position in this landscape. Though technically illegal in many forms, it flourished in places like Las Vegas, representing America's complicated relationship with vice, risk, and reward. For characters like Julius and Muriel, gambling offers not just the possibility of financial gain but a space where conventional rules could be temporarily suspended. The power of unspoken connections. One of the film's most compelling aspects is the unspoken connection between Julius and Muriel. Though not romantically involved, they recognize in each other a similar struggle, the conflict between societal expectations and authentic desires. Their relationship is complex, moving from affection to betrayal to understanding. When Muriel reveals she knows about Henry and shows Julius the gun, their conversation lacks explicit mentions of homosexuality, reflecting the era's inability to directly address such topics. Yet beneath the surface, they achieve a profound recognition of each other's true nature. Their conflict isn't really about money or the gun, but about honesty and courage in the face of a conformist society. Similarly, the film handles the romantic relationships between Julius and Henry, and Muriel and Sandra, with restraint. Physical intimacy is shown, but the deeper emotional connections develop through small moments, Henry teaching Julius about marked cards, Sandra playing mandolin music that reminds Muriel of her mother. These quiet interactions carry as much weight as more dramatic scenes, showing how meaningful connections can form even in restrictive circumstances. The circular nature of escape and return. On Swift Horses explores how escape often becomes circular, with characters leaving only to find themselves drawn back to what they fled. Julius leaves San Diego for Las Vegas, then returns to San Diego, only to leave again. Muriel mentally escapes her housewife role through gambling and her relationship with Sandra, but physically remains in the home she shares with Lee until her journey to Tijuana. The film suggests that true escape requires more than physical distance, it demands acceptance of one's authentic self. Julius and Muriel both struggle with this acceptance, alternating between embracing and fleeing from their true desires. The circular motions of the narrative reflect their internal struggles, the difficulty of breaking free from societal expectations even when physically distant from them. This circularity also appears in the structure of relationships. Julius leaves Lee and Muriel partly to avoid the conventional life they represent, yet forms a domestic arrangement with Henry. Muriel resents her expected role as Lee's wife but creates a different kind of intimate relationship with Sandra. These patterns suggest that the desire for connection is universal, though the forms it takes may vary widely. The final message. At its heart, On Swift Horses is about the courage to pursue authentic identity in a world demanding conformity. The film doesn't offer easy resolutions or Hollywood endings where everyone finds perfect happiness. Instead, it presents the struggle itself as meaningful, the willingness to risk security for truth, to pursue desire despite the dangers. The final letter Julius writes captures this sentiment perfectly: everybody deserves a chance to be happy. This simple statement becomes radical in a context where happiness was narrowly defined and available only to those who fit prescribed roles. By claiming the right to define happiness for themselves, Julius and Muriel perform acts of quiet revolution. Their journeys remind us that freedom often comes at a cost, that loving authentically sometimes means losing security, and that the path to self-discovery rarely follows a straight line. Yet the film ultimately suggests that these sacrifices are worthwhile, that the pursuit of authentic life and love, however difficult, matters more than comfortable conformity. In the end, On Swift Horses doesn't tell us whether its characters found lasting happiness. Instead, it honors their courage in seeking it on their own terms, recognizing that in some contexts, the search itself is an act of profound bravery.